Hello everyone, it's Sheri Bakers here and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, hello. So today we're in my kitchen, and yes, I am a tiny bit sick, so I hope my croaky voice doesn't annoy anyone. But today we're in my kitchen because I'm going to be showing you a beginner's tips and tricks guide to how to make candles, just like these, that look and smell just as good as a store-bought professional candle. So I hope everyone enjoys. A few essential items that you're going to need is your bowl or a jar or glass, whichever one you choose to pour your candle into, your wax of choice, different wicks, so you can either get a wood wick or a cotton based wick. It's completely up to you on what you prefer. Today I decided to go with a cotton based wick, but wood wicks are also amazing because they give a really beautiful crackle. When you do buy a wood wick, you need to make sure it comes with a clip that you just attach at the bottom, and then you just place that into your container or bowl, whatever you've decided to use, like this. And if you are going to be using a cotton wick, it's the exact same process. For today I'm going to be using 2 cotton wicks because I am using quite a large bowl, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But today I'm going to be using 2 cotton wicks, and I'm just going to be placing them side by side like this. I have a stainless steel bowl, and I've also got a saucepan with a little bit of water, and I'm going to be placing that on top and doing a double boiler method. I've also got my fragrances. Today I'm going to be using a fragrance that is lime and coconut, and if you want to, you can also add some dried petals. A thermometer so I can check the temperature, and also a measuring jug, and a heat gun. My first step is I'm going to measure out my wax and get that on my double boiler and start melting it. Now, generally I find that if I do 2 portion sizes of the container that I am using, that gives me the perfect amount of wax. And it seems like a lot when it's in this form, but when it does start to melt down, it actually does minimize quite a lot. So I'm just going to be filling up my bowl twice, and then generally that gives me the perfect amount of wax. Generally, the 3 most common waxes that are used in candle making is soy wax, which is the one that I'm using today, paraben wax, and beeswax. So you just need to look up and determine which one's the right one for you. I know some people think soy wax is a little bit harder to work with, especially when putting fragrances in, but I have never had an issue with it as long as I follow these simple steps. Depending on what brand of wax you're using does depend on how hot you need to get it before you add your fragrance in. Today, the brand that I'm using, I need to heat it up to 180, so I will be using my thermometer just to check on that while I am double boiling it. The reason why getting the temperature correct while melting your wax is so important is because your wax needs to fully expand before you add your fragrance in, as this will help bind the fragrance in and produce the strongest smelling candles and the best burn. Once you've gotten your wax to the correct temperature, it's now time to add your fragrance in. Today I've chosen a lime and coconut fragrance. The ratio that I use when I add my fragrance in is about 6 to 10% of my fragrance to my wax. If you add too much fragrance in it, it can stop it from adhering properly to the wax and actually start to seep out. And if you obviously don't add enough, you're not going to get that beautiful smell that you desire. Now that my wax is ready, I've just put that to one side and taken it off the heat to let it cool down slightly. Now I'm just going to be applying my wicks into my bowl. Because this is quite a large bowl, I'm going to be using 2 wicks, and the reason behind this is if I don't use wicks that are big enough for the size of the wax, what will happen is I will have my wicks burn out before my wax does, and obviously you do not want that to happen. Or if you pick a wick that is too big for the size of your container that you will be using, you'll actually have your wax burn out before your wick does. So there are wick calculators online to work out what size you need, but if you are using a bigger bowl like this, you can always just add 2 wicks in. As you saw, I just used a little bit of sticky tape to place them down. The reason why I did this is because when I do pour the wax in, I don't want them floating about. So adding a bit of tape or even hot glue or a little sticky dot helps them just stay to the bottom of your bowl. And now I'm just going to be using a skewer and a little bit of tape again just to place my wicks onto my skewer, so that way they're going to stay upright and in the center of where I want them. These wicks are quite soft and flexible, and obviously I don't want them to be skewer and not in the center, so this is a great way to do it. You can also buy wick clips, but because I'm using quite a large bowl, wick clips won't be big enough for this, so I'm just using a skewer across the center. One of my favorite little tricks to use is that I use a heat gun to heat up my bowl before I pour my wax in. I find that when the wax goes into a bowl that's a similar temperature, it actually adheres to the edges really well. And when I pour it in cold, I find that I get where once the wax cools down, it actually pulls away from the edge and I get a gap around the rim of my candle. Now that my wax is at pouring temperature, I'm just going to start pouring it into my bowl. There's no special way to do this. I just slowly and evenly pour the wax in. I know a lot of people would probably want to pour their wax straight away and not give it time to cool down to the right temperature, but if you do pour your wax in when it's still really hot, what you're going to get is dipping, and you're going to get holes in your wax because you've poured it too soon. And there are ways to fix this if you do this, so don't worry, but obviously it's better to get it right the first time than to have to do an extra step and try and fix the mistake that you've made. This next step is optional. I just waited for the wax to cool down a bit, and then I added some petals and a starfish to the top to add to my beachy theme of this candle. If you've liked this video so far, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, please do subscribe, as I love to create more content like this. And I had a question for you guys. What else do you want to see on my channel? Please let me know in the comments below so I can create that video for you. I left my candle overnight to cool down, and all I'm doing now is just taking my skewer off, and I'm just going to be cutting my wick. So I just cut it pretty much at the level of my bowl. You want to give it about probably 1/4 of an inch, just so that way it has something to burn through, but I generally cut it to the level. And as you can see, I've got a little bit of damage from where I've accidentally knocked my wick while it was drying. So all I'm going to do is just with my heat gun is heat up that area, and that will just melt that wax back into place and give me a nice pristine and smooth surface where you can't even tell that I did knock the wick. Thank you for everyone that watched this video. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, as it helps me know which content to keep creating. And this is the finished candle that I made. I made it for my friend as a gift, and she has a beachy themed house, so that's kind of why I added the starfish in to keep in with her beachy themed. If you don't know already, I do have an Amazon store, so I will put the link in the bottom, and that's where I purchased everything that I used to make this candle today. And if you're new to my channel, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell, as I do post new videos every week, even when I am sick. Thank you guys so much for watching.